Herbie joins us. Congratulations, Herbie. Great night for you last night. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Dan. Thanks a lot, man. Crazy day with everything going on in the morning, and then to have that go on last night. That was quite a different emotional swing.
Here is how it sounded when Herbie won, and Herbie is in probably the toughest category. We're in the best daily sports show. We're in that category, but Herbie's in there with the best analysts. So you got Collinsworth, who's always winning. Tony Romo's the new flavor here. I mean, Troy Aikman's in there, and here's the announcement last night.
I've won a few of these. I've never really been there to accept them. I'm like the guy that can't believe he got invited to be here with you guys. I'm just very, very appreciative of being able to do something I love.
You caught me off guard there, Herbie, and I'm sure you were caught off guard as well, but I'm watching. I'm going, good for Herbie. And then all of a sudden I walked away. I came back. I go, what's going on? Paulie goes, no, Herbie's really emotional here. And I go, oh, well, if I win, I have to have more tears than Herbie does. And of course I didn't win. But why did it hit you so strong there?
Well, you're staring at a computer. You're not at the ceremony. I don't know. I could have very easily just kind of tipped my cap and said, hey, thanks a lot. I've been really, really fortunate. Between game day and the ones I've won individually, I think I've won 14 now and 5 individual. So it's not like, oh my God, I won an Emmy. I think it was just, I don't know, just you just mentioned the names that were in that category, and every time I'm in it, they're typically the same names, and it's just a kind of a pinch me moment. Like, how the hell is it? How am I even in this circle? And it's just gratitude, and I like you, I love what I do, and I just and I think it's maybe the emotion comes from the kind of the world we're in right now, and just seeing the world that we know be challenged. I don't know. It just makes me kind of take a step back and just be grateful for what I have.
Well, it's a great moment. And look, I get emotional if somebody opens an envelope, even if my name is not mentioned. But we are approaching the Buffalo Bills. We've gone 0 for 3 here. So I don't know if you have any advice on us, Herbie.
Well, you guys, I remember one year I went and you were up against Bob Costas for like top.
Studio host.
Guy. Yeah. And I think Costas won or something like that, and you went up.
Yeah.
And that was
I had written a speech. And the thing was Costas was actually there. But I said, I wrote this speech like 10 years ago, and I got to deliver it. And some of the people were dead on the on my list there. So I just thought, you know what? Let me go up there. And Bob was fine with it because Bob loses them. He uses them doorstops or whatever. He hands them out at Halloween, I think. With what happened yesterday, and I'm trying to figure this out. I just don't know if the Big Ten and Pac-12 have different information than the ACC, SEC, and the Big 12 have when it comes to this pandemic.
Yeah, they must. I mean, and there are hot spots all over the country. I know Los Angeles and California, through a lot of this, has been considered a hot spot. But I think the confusion that is out there for a lot of people is that, where is the leadership in college football, right? I hear that a lot. Where's the leadership? What's going on with the NCAA? And as you know, Dan, with college football going to this Power 5, when there was all that realignment, they created the playoff. When they created the playoffs, they got away from the NCAA because they became the Power 5 conferences. And those Power 5 conference commissioners became the leaders for college football. And I think what is very apparent to everybody is, instead of having one voice, you have 5 silos. And those 5 silos are worried about just their presidents, their players, their ADs, their coaches, basically their fans, their constituents in that region. And that's all they're concerned about. So what's happening with the Pac-12, what's happening with the Big Ten has nothing to do with the ACC and the Big 12 and the SEC. But I'm with you. You know, we're relying on doctors. We're relying on data. We're relying on advice. We have no idea about infectious disease, right? Guys like you and I. We listen to guys like Dr. Fauci tell us what we need to know. What I found interesting yesterday is the Big Ten is doing that, and the Pac-12 is doing that, canceling. And the same day, the SEC and the ACC doctors that provide leadership for them are saying, "Oh no,
yeah,
we've got a clear path to play." And it makes you just go, wait. How do you have a clear path? And again, I understand and respect the hot spots, but why can't all the doctors get on the same page? It's frustrating.
I just want these doctors to release the information, and I would love to have all of these doctors in the Power 5 conferences, just so we know, apples to apples, what everybody's dealing with, and can it help us as everyday citizens here? Like what testing procedures are put in place, safeguards are put in place.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I would just say that I think if we step back from the emotion of we want football, and just look at what is hanging over the head of these conferences. Because if you look at the data of 18 to 24-year-olds, you could very easily say, look at the data. I mean, most of these cases are asymptomatic. My kids are at Clemson. They play at Clemson. They had 40 players at one point a few weeks ago that were positive. My kids got a couple of their roommates were both positive. They got dinged to be quarantined for contact tracing, so they couldn't go over to the facility for 2 weeks. It just gives you an example of how easily you could lose an entire roster because not so much the positive cases, but the direct contact. And to me, while we all want to say they're all asymptomatic, it's not that big a deal, you know as well as I do, all it takes is 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 outliers in all of college football, kids that all of a sudden, they're in the hospital, they're in intensive care, and all of a sudden that's a liability for that conference commissioner, for that athletic director, for that coach. And so that's, to me, at the end of the day, why the Pac-12 and the Big Ten pulled the plug. I think it's the risk. It's the potential risk of, maybe 90% of them are okay, but what if? And now I got to look at those parents in the eye, and they're going to say, why did you green light us? Why did you play football knowing the risk? So I think that just the potential of that is why they decided to make that move.
He's Kirk Herbstreit, ESPN college football analyst, and he won his 5th Sports Emmy last night, most of any commentator in ESPN history. If you're Justin Fields and you had the opportunity to transfer, first of all, should he get the opportunity to transfer, in your opinion? And if so, would you do it?
Well, I think all the Big Ten and the Pac-12 players should have the right to look to be able to go elsewhere, just because of these extreme circumstances. We're in a different era when it comes to players having freedom to be able to go to another school and not have to sit out. And these would be, to me, as extreme. This would be as extreme of a case that you can imagine. I would say this, and as far as Justin specifically, he has an incredibly close relationship with Ryan Day, not just man-to-man, but Ryan Day is looked at as the cutting edge in all of football when it comes to breaking down defenses and knowing how to attack them. The NFL people look at he and Lincoln Riley like, man, these guys are masterminds. And so I really think if you look at him specifically, that Justin Fields that left Georgia as a 5-star, didn't beat out Jake Fromm, goes to Ohio State and becomes a Heisman candidate, comes back for this year, Heisman candidate, considered a first or second pick. He's really grown underneath Ryan Day. So I would be shocked in that case that if he would ever leave, he'd rather sit in a film room and work out with Ryan Day and continue to improve with Ryan Day than I think he would want to do elsewhere.
I would do that too. I would stay. Yeah. I'd just work out. Would you take Justin Fields over Trevor Lawrence?
Man, that's going to be the big thing. That I think it would depend on the system, in the NFL.
Let's jump in early on this, Herbie. This could win you an Emmy next year.
Yeah, exactly. The NFL, man, it's crazy. You go back to 5 years ago, 10 years ago, the quarterback in the NFL was Peyton Manning. It was Tom Brady, right? I mean, these college quarterbacks coming out of the Big 12, it was like, well, he's too small. We don't, in the college, in the pro game, you got to sit in the pocket and make the throws, and you got to be 6'4". And now Kyler Murray's out there, right? I mean, Russell Wilson's out there. Lamar Jackson's out there. It's a different game for a lot of these offenses. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And a lot of these older coaches, like Andy Reid, who have been West Coast guys their entire lives, got to make plays from the pocket. They're saying, well, look what the college game is giving us. I've got to alter my scheme to Patrick Mahomes coming out of Texas Tech. Instead of making him alter his game to my system, like we've been doing for 15 years, I'm going to try to learn this offense, and we're going to try to run it, and it obviously worked out really well. So I think that trend's going to continue to grow. So with that in mind, I think Justin Fields is going to be a guy that's going to be dynamic at the next level. I think his skill set, the ability to throw, the ability to run, the ability to create is very, very rare. So it'll be fun to see he and Trevor work out, and both of them, I think, are going to be superstars. But I think Justin may have a little bit of an upper hand just because of the way the NFL game is kind of trending, the direction it's going.
All right, so long-winded way of saying you might give the edge to Justin Fields over Trevor Lawrence.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I want. By the way, I just got this in. Big 12 teams, their schedule, they're going to open up with a non-conference opponent. That would either be September 12th or the 19th. The conference schedule would begin September 26th, which I guess would coincide also with the SEC starting as well. But non-conference opponent, that might be, they could be playing somebody in the SEC as a non-conference opponent, I guess.
Real quick thing about people been bringing this up, and it's good for your listeners to think about. 2 of the Power 5 are out. 3 are still standing. Would Bill Hancock and the playoff committee still have a college football playoff with 3 Power 5 teams left?
Yes.
Now I think it's yes. I don't know if they publicly said that, but I think they do that. And I think it's if you lose another one, maybe you don't, if there's only 2 remaining, but if there's 3, I still think you would see them move forward with a playoff.
Great to talk to you, Herbie, as always. And once again, congratulations, and hope the boys are safe there at Clemson.
Thanks, man. Great talking to you. Appreciate it.
That's Kirk Herbstreit joining us on the program.